You all are at D1, Retention 911, Hiring, Inspiring, Engaging, Retaining. Our guide is Christopher Ridenhour, Director of Workplace Culture with SpiriTrust Lutheran. So let's give him a warm welcome.
Friends, good morning.
Good morning.
I'm not sure if you know what you signed up for. I'm really grateful to be here, and I'm having a conversation with. Thank you. I was having a conversation with one of your colleagues, and I guess I was in Seattle. I did Seattle maybe about 3 or 4 years ago at the Pioneer Network, and I also do leading age stuff and association of healthcare and right, and all the rest of that kind of stuff. How many of you have ever been invited to someone's house, and maybe it was a barbecue or cookout or a game night or something, and oh my goodness gracious, it's been too long. Hey, we should have had you over a long time ago, and you think that you're having a wonderful time, right? And just yucking it up and just really good conversation, and then the night ends, and they look at you and say, we can't let it go for too long again, right? We have to do this really soon, but then you never get invited back. I got invited back, so I think I'm on to something. And I'll tell you, there are a couple of, I'll let you in on a secret. I think I'm a one-trick pony. And let me tell you where I've been and what I've done. For the last 17 years, I've been in aging services. Before that, I was doing like kids stuff. I worked at United Way, and I was a Penn State University and Bryn Mawr College, but education stuff before aging services. And I was just sharing with Joan from Pioneer, is that you can change titles to workshops, because there's always something that new, like all of the conferences want new things and new presentations, and I don't think that there's anything that's new. I really don't. I think when we figure out how to do the old stuff really well, then the new stuff will be fairly simple. And here's what I mean. By show of hands, how many of you like to feel valued and appreciated? Keep your hand up, valued and appreciated. All right? So do me a favor, look around the room. Look to see who's part of that club. Everybody has their hand up, correct? All right. And if you like to feel appreciated and valued, put your hand up. And with the other hand, now do me a favor, look around the room and keep your hand up. And while your hand is up, I want you to look around this room for anybody who appears sketchy, somewhat suspect, and slightly disgruntled. Just look around the room, but don't stare. Do not stare. That's hand down. Now, this is what I think. And just because I think it doesn't mean it's right. Got it? But we can Patrick Lencioni this 5 Dysfunctions of a Team. We can 7 Habits of Highly Effective People, Stephen Covey. Do you know his son, Covey Jr. wrote a book called The Speed of Trust? We could do If Disney Ran Your Hospital. We could do, name something. Jim Collins, Good to Great. What else can we do? We can do Leadership and Self-Deception. Do you know all of those books say the exact same thing? All of those books say the exact same thing. They say if you and I don't value and appreciate everybody that we come into contact with, whether they're our favorites or our least favorites, we're going to experience this workforce crisis. Now, I've been doing this for a while. Do you know 10 years ago, we weren't having this conversation about where are we going to get our people and how do we get them to stay in a building. 10 years, we were talking about other things. I think we've worked our way up to this, and it's just taken this amount of time for it to finally hit all of our organizations. And I don't know, there's nothing that's going to happen in the 90 minutes to figure out, how to make the pipeline bigger to get more folks to apply. That's not what this session is about. But I figure if I can help you to keep 2 med techs and an LPN, golden, in 90 minutes. If I can help you to stop circulating your resume and leave your place, golden. And that's what I think this is about. But I'm a one-trick pony. I think everything is based on value and appreciation. And then the question becomes, how much time do you spend in making sure that everybody around you feels valued and appreciated because of you? I would assume that we have all different types of positions and years of service just in this room. And I'm not the ED. My title is Director of Workplace Culture. And that's kind of fancy, isn't it? Right? Director of Workplace Culture, I know. Director of Workplace Culture. And as far as I can tell, with the 2 years that I've been at my organization, this is what I think I was hired to do, is to be the organizational bud. Like if you need something, if you're struggling with something, then all kinds of coaching things are up here, and all kinds of personality temperament models are up here, and team building stuff, whatever team building is. I got that. I have all of that. But my job also is to make sure that everybody feels valued and appreciated, no matter who it is that they are, just across the spectrum. And today is also a deputization of that as well. This is a train the trainer so that you get a chance to go out and be the best you can be for your team members. All right? So the way that I also play is go big or go home. Because if we are, let me do this. How many of you value an honest friend by show of hands? Value an honest friend. Do me a favor, look around, because that's a pretty big club, correct? So you value an honest friend. We only have 90 minutes, so we're going to have to shortcut this thing. How many of you can think of at least one person that you work with that the best way to piss them off is to say, hey, good morning? By a show of hands. By a show of hands. We don't have a lot of time for build up here. Now keep your hand up, look around the room. That's all I got. Okay? Hand down. How many of you can think of at least one person that you work with who some days you wonder why they chose to work with other human beings? By a show of hands. Now keep your hand up and look around the room. Just check it out. And if they're at your table, keep it here. I'm trying to help you out. We good? All right, hand down. How many of you can think of at least one person that you work with who complains so stinking much about the job while they're on the job that it feels like it's a part-time job? And I'll tell you what, and you decide, you know what, we'll figure this thing out. I'll take you to lunch and we'll have a conversation, right? We'll have a conversation. Maybe you just need, right, some good conversation and some empathy and some simpatico. And you take them to lunch and maybe you take them to McDonald's, this nice, right, cheap, quick fix. And you take this person to lunch and they refuse to serve them a happy meal. How many of you can think of at least one person that you work with who is so stinking sarcastic that if it was the Olympics, they would probably medal? We good? Welcome to the workplace crisis. Now, if everybody likes to feel valued and appreciated, but we have individuals, and my job is not to say what's right or wrong. That's not my job. And if you're one of these human beings, my job is not to tell you to change. That's not my job. But here we have a workforce crisis because people are struggling because they're not feeling valued and appreciated. Oh, and by the way, we could Daniel Pink this thing and drive what really motivates human beings. And here's a really quick shortcut. This isn't even on the handout. Each one of us is motivated to do a really good job, at least by way of Daniel Pink's research, by one of three things. If I'm autonomous and I can make decisions on my own about the job as I go about it, and nobody is on my back micromanaging me, and let me tell you what you're going to do at 10, let me tell you what you're going to do at 11, so autonomy, and I feel like an adult, right? With my job, I also have to be a master at it, though, too. I've had the opportunity to have experiences and grow and learn in my job so that I'm better day 365 than I was day one when I started with the organization. So everybody feels good when they can practice what it is that they're good at. And their weaknesses are exposed, but they get a chance to work on their weaknesses and they grow professionally. Mastery. The other one is purpose. That I'm here for a reason, and other people are looking at me and saying, oh my goodness gracious, if you weren't here, we'd be worse off. What it is that you bring, we're so grateful for what it is that you do, and not just the telling, but also the feeling and the showing. Nobody would leave. And we wouldn't hear, how many of you by show of hands have ever heard, I'm just an aide? Welcome to the workforce crisis. So I think part of today is also about whatever your position is. So you know what you do, right? Tell me your name, friend. John. John, how are you? Yeah, how are you, John? Don't you want to know how I am, John? It's too late, John. So John is great. What is it that you do for your organization? Administrator. And could you imagine this? So let's just say that John and I work together, and John is, John, I got something for you. So John called me, right? He has some other things to do, and he'll be 15 minutes late, but he called me and said, hey, I'll be 15 minutes later. Do me a favor, tell the rest of the gang. All right? Now, could you imagine this scenario? Ladies, good news and bad news. The good news is John will be here. The bad news, we have to wait 15 additional minutes. Tell others. John, 5 minutes ago, he called me. He will be here. We only have 10 more minutes to wait. Spread the word. He's coming. 5 minutes. John, he's coming. And then all of a sudden, John comes into the building, right? John! Woo! How many of you, by show of hands, recognize that if you got that response from your team, no one would leave the building? You got it? Now let's dial it down so it's not as manic as that. Because if that's the response that you get from your team, you know that human resources would somehow be involved, correct? But then here's a simple question, though. Here's a simple question. And there's not enough time to do any of the personality inventories. Because everybody likes to feel valued and appreciated no matter what your personality is. How cool is that, right? So you could be the organized one. You can be the opposite of that. You could be the one that seeks adventure at the job. You can be the huggy one. And by the way, we have more huggy and emotional human beings in aging services than any other personality. And then the opposite of huggy is logical. Got it? No matter what personality type you are, everybody in this room likes to feel valued and appreciated. And the workforce crisis is predicated on how many people can we make sure feel valued and appreciated, because when you're valued and appreciated, guess what happens? You stay. And you turn up. Do you not? And there has not, and I've traveled all over the place. And I've been fortunate enough to spend some time and have at least a decent reputation with the organizations that I've spent some time in. But there is not one person that I have ever met so far in 17 years of travel that says, you know what, enough value and appreciation. And let me do it this way. By show of hands, is there anybody here that is overly appreciated for the job that they do? If one more stinking person comes up to you and tells you how wonderful you are, that's it. That's your last day at the organization. Welcome to the workforce crisis. How many of you, by show of hands, are good people? Are good people today? Today. Now put it up high. Don't you half-mast it. Now do me a favor. Look around the room at all the good people. Keep your hands up if you have issues. All right, not one hand down, okay? Keep your hands up if somewhere in your life, you're also experiencing a battle, struggle, challenge, and it could be small, medium, or large, friends, family, finances, mental, physical, spiritual. Doesn't even matter what it is, John. Keep your hand up if you're also going through something. Keep your hand up if you don't like conflict. Do me a favor, look around the room. Welcome to the workforce crisis. We're all good people. And people are still leaving good people because we have issues. And I think this session is also like an honest friend because we have issues. And once we come to grips with our issues, once there are fewer secrets in the organization, then we can have really good conversations. And sometimes really good conversations are hard conversations. But how many conversations are not being had? How many of you can think of at least one person that you work with that if you saw them about to sit on a thumbtack, it would take you a little bit longer to let them know? Yeah, me too! But we're not the only ones. I just didn't ask anybody else to raise their hand. So it's either go big or go home. And then the question that I have in 17 years and just thinking about the mass exodus of people that are leaving aging services. First of all, at no other time, it used to be, oh my gosh, just last year we were talking about the millennials, those damn millennials. And there's not even millennials anymore, it's damn millennials. Everywhere I go, these damn millennials, damn millennials. What happened to just millennials? How many of you would consider yourselves a millennial, by show of hands? Because you get a bad beat, and all these conferences are, what are we going to do about these people, right? Millennials, how many of you like to feel valued and appreciated, by show of hands? Got it. How many of you recognize that there's a difference between a boss, supervisor, and a director than a coach, mentor, partner, role model, by show of hands? Millennials, do any of you have issues? Yup. Right? So apparently we all have something in common. We have stuff in common. And rather than separation, we all need to recognize what our issues are. It's go big or go home, because something drastic has to be done in order for us to stop the hemorrhaging that is the workforce crisis. Because I keep hearing that we love the residents, we love the residents, we love the residents. That fulfills the mission. We love the residents, we love the residents. But could you imagine if you were as loved or gave as much love to the team members as we did the residents, then nobody would leave. No one would leave. And it'll be an awesome day when I go to a conference. Oh my goodness gracious, I love everybody in my building. Well, most of them. Are you kidding me? And I get it. We love the residents, we love the residents, we love the residents. I get it. We love the residents, we love the residents. But the residents aren't leaving. It's not them. So who are we going to focus on? Right? So it's go big or go home. Stand up where you are, please. Stand up where you are. Welcome to Camp Retention. I am your guide, Christopher Ridenhour. And everything we experience while we're here at camp will not be comfortable. My job is to stretch and grow you. First thing, we got to get the energy because the battle is hard. So we have to work on our stamina. Make sure you get a little bit of room because you're going to need it. We are going to get in touch with all of the energy around us. So if you want to think of this as kind of the morning meditation, feel free. Wellness is something that's sweeping the nation, right? Mostly for the residents. Mostly for the residents, the wellness. But team members need wellness too, don't they? Correct? Because it's not the residents that are creating the stress. It's not the residents because we signed up for this. We knew what we were getting into when we signed up. So if it's not our residents, who's left? Do me a favor, look at the people at your table, and in your head go, it's you. All right? So I'll tell you what, we're going to get in touch with all of the bigness that is around us. I'm going to start at 3. When I get to 1, here is your first move if you are able. Now, before you do that and I count you down, how many of you by show of hands recognize that it is difficulty and turmoil that ultimately make you better? Right? So I'm just thinking about the battles and struggles that we've had in our lives, and apparently we've all had battles, struggles, and challenges. How many of you have ever been in that difficult situation, personal or professional, and you said, holy crap, I don't know why this is happening to me. I've heard about it. I didn't think it was going to be me. And when is this going to end? When? Oh my goodness gracious. And dinner doesn't taste as good. And the clouds are overhanging. But then time heals stuff sometimes and brings clarity. How many of you have ever come out on the other side of the difficulty, the battle, and challenge and said, ooh, I don't ever want to go through that again, but I recognize that I'm a different person as a result of going through the difficulty? We good? Right? So, I'm going to count you down. When I get to 1, it's got it? And because I'm an honest friend, my eyes go this way. How many of you recognize that whatever I see, your team members see exactly what I see because their eyes go that way too? Does that make sense to you? Right? How many of you recognize that whatever I see, because my eyes go this way, that your residents see the exact same thing that I do? We good? And everybody values an honest friend here, yes? So I'm going to be looking for enthusiasm. Even as we go through a difficulty. Because I'm fairly certain you had no idea you're about to do what you're about to do. All right? All right, so it looks like this. 3, 2, 1. Good job. You feel that heat you're generating? That's all you. It's not your supervisor, that's not your direct reports, that's you. You got it in you. All right? So we have the first element coming. First element is earth. Is earth, John. All right? And earth looks like this. Earth. Very nice. Everybody up. All right? 3, 2, 1. Good. Very nice. What's next? Earth. Stay there. Next element is wind. Wind looks like this. Wind. We good? Now, you value an honest friend, correct? All right. So just to make sure that everybody can see me, I can see you. And you figure there are about, 110 people in here, and I'm trying my best to catch everybody. And I'm looking for individuals that are doing this. Because, gang, I'll tell you what, if I see it, your team members see it. Doesn't that make sense? And what aren't you willing to do to keep people in your building? What aren't you willing to do? I love the residents, but not enough to quit my sarcasm, but I love my residents. I love my residents, but not enough to make sure that every one of my team members feels like they're my favorite. But I love the residents, though. I love my residents, but not enough to stop micromanaging the people that are reporting to me. But I love my residents, though. Do you know that everything that you could possibly get comes from this? This is it. If you never read another book ever about how to manage, and they all say the same thing, but it's the action. It has nothing to do with what you know. It's what you're willing to bring and what you're willing to do that may or may not feel comfortable that will keep people in our buildings, because nobody in here feels overly appreciated. And could you imagine this at morning stand-up? Gang, I got something from the conference. Ready? And you know, some people would look at you and go, what the? And some people will look at you and go, finally. And let's be clear about this. Usually, there's the conference bounce. So once you get, is there anybody else here? So all of a sudden, a conference comes up, and usually conferences are in fairly attractive places. Usually, especially the national ones, right? And you have to play it down at home. Where are you going, dear? Another conference. And then you get outside and you go, oh my gosh, like New Orleans again, right? But then on the other side, you get a chance to come home, and conferences, especially Pioneer, because how many other conferences do you go to with titles that have compassion in them or love in them? Right? That's not the national, that's usually not the thing. So there's more inspiration at Pioneer than there are, I find, at other conferences. And then all of a sudden, folks will go back, right, because you've been rejuvenated, and then you get a chance to spend some time with folks you only meet a couple times during the year, right? And you go and you lay it on at that reception by that pharmacy, right? And you get a chance to go back and you're walking around, good morning, hello, right? And you know your team members are just waiting until the conference bounce wears off. And then things go back to normal. And then this is what normal looks like. I find in buildings all over the country, and this may not be your building, I'm saying a lot of buildings. So today is Tuesday, and a lot of times I recognize the day of the week that I've been invited to come and speak somewhere. Because Tuesday is the second Monday of the week for a whole lot of places in the country. So all of a sudden, a Tuesday. Well, first of all, let's backtrack this. So let's just say it's Monday. Ken, it's Monday, all right? And tell me your name. Gwen, you're the director, all right? You just yell action. Get this thing started.
Action.
Oh, no, wait, I got to give him direction. Kimmy, we're good. You can rock, all right? So Ken, stand right there, my friend.
All right.
Good job, all right? So Ken, when I get close enough, all I need you to do is say good morning, Christopher. That's it. Good morning, Christopher. Do you need a rehearsal?
No, I think I can.
Got the right one, all right? How many of you recognize that there's a difference between someone who shows up to work and someone who shows up to work? You recognize that? Let me give you, I say a lot of things. Don't miss the fact that these are retention tools. Because if you do not show up to work and people know that you show up to work, good luck. Because if we're not setting the example that we showed up to work, then we're going to encourage people to show up to work. And anybody can show up to work. And I find that's true of team members, and I also find that's true of us as conference goers. I think everybody is basically the same. They're different accountabilities, right? They're different accountabilities. But I'll tell you what, you are not immune to humanness. We good? So Ken, you showed up to work, and I showed up to work. Got it? So Gwen, whenever you're ready, when I get close enough, good morning, Christopher. Here's Monday.
Action.
Good morning, Christopher. How are you doing today?
Monday. Don't change anything, Ken. Good job. Good job, Gwen. All right. Tuesday now.
Action.
Good morning, Christopher. Good to see you.
Security. Tuesday. What is Wednesday?
Monday.
Let me tell you about another retention tool. Don't you ever say hump day again. All right? Do you know what hump day means? 2 more days I won't have to see you. My thought is that's probably not the message you want to send. Hump day. Hump day. Thursday, Friday Eve, right? Do you know, sister, I find that the energy goes up on Thursday as we get ready to leave the residence. The energy goes up in our buildings as we leave. Ask me about retention and engagement. If you are not aware of the energy that you are bringing, good luck. Take responsibility for this. And I can say things and I can do things, but I'll tell you what, people are reading you all day long. Just like, don't you read people all day long? So Thursday, oh my, it's Thirsty Thursday. Thursday, whenever you're ready.
Action.
Good morning.
I still don't like you, but it's almost Friday. Right? And then Friday, all bets are up. Friday is the best time, the best day to be a presenter. Because all you need to do is show up and smile, hey gang, and they're like, woo, it's Friday, it has nothing to do with you. I want you to be aware, leaders, of what it is that you're bringing on a regular and daily basis. Because it is infecting, impacting, effecting everybody else around you. But here's the thing. There's this thing called the fundamental attribution error, all right? The fundamental attribution error. Tell me your name.
D.
D? D, how are you today?
I'm fantastic. How are you?
Oh, thank you. D, don't you want to know how I am?
Yes, I love you.
Oh, you go stand next to John, D. But here's the standard thing. And I think all of this relates, whether it's teamwork, whether it's leadership development, whether it's coaching, whether it's retention, it's all the same thing. Because at the center of it, that would be you. That would be you and what it is that you're bringing. And anything else can be happening around you. But if no one can offend you without your permission, if that is true, then it doesn't matter what else is happening around you because you're the boss of you. Here's retention tool number 362. In service, you're the boss of you. Because could you imagine aides, unit clerks, leaders, if you in-serviced, nobody can offend you without your permission? Do you know that nurses eat their young and that impact would do this? And then there'd be no time to worry about who's gossiping about me. And then there's no time to worry about who's shunning me. And all of the stuff that goes with the nurses eat their young. Oh, the scientific name is horizontal aggression. The other scientific name is relational aggression. And it comes in pressure cooker situations when the stakes are high and people are stressed. And the first thing to go is civility. But we keep banging our team members because they're responding to the exact way that they should be responding to the stress that is never ending.
Wait a minute. Are you saying we don't have to let people make us mad?
Yes. Oh, because, oh, John, yeah, write that down. Write that down. John, you're the boss. John, do me a favor. How many of you are familiar with The Voice? Do you know the show The Voice? Yes. All right. Live experiment. So, John, this is what I want you to do. Nobody can offend me without my permission. That's what I want you to say, John. Got it? You're going to say that, and if you're bringing enough of the belief, like if we feel that you mean it, we're all going to put our hands up. You got it? Don't let John off the hook, because aren't you an honest friend? And we don't have enough honest conversations, by the way, in our communities. And the conversations are hard, but we need more honest conversations. If I am the one that perpetually comes into the building and does not say good morning to my team, you need to have a conversation with me. Because whether that's my personality or not, most human beings run on value and appreciation, regardless of personality. You know that saying, mean people suck? And I'm not saying right, and I'm not saying wrong, and I'm not saying good or bad. And this isn't even a value statement. But think, it's kind of floating out there, and I'll tell you what. Do you know that mean people are responsible for upwards of hundreds of thousands of dollars in replacement costs because people can't stand mean people? And I didn't say right or wrong, good or bad. This is not a value judgment. People are leaving other human beings that they just can't stand to be around anymore. And they're going for 50 cents additional to find happiness for 50 cents outside of aging services. This is the first time that human beings are now leaving the helping profession for 50 cents more happiness in something that will not be fulfilling. And it's us as the conference goers. We got to get this thing together. We have to be nicer. Imagine that. And by the way, we're all good people. And we all have issues. We good? All right, so I'm going to start at 3. When I get to 1, your colleague John is going to say, nobody can offend me without my permission. If you believe it, you put your hand up. If you don't believe it, just offer feedback. Don't put your hand up. We good? All right. Ready? 3, 2, 1.
No one can make me be offended without my permission.
Do you believe it? Now, I'll give you, right or wrong, I'll give you one more shot, And just because we have 90 minutes, and just, John, I know you're a good person, right? Oh, and by the way, everybody in this room is it. You got it? So John mentioned something, and it was a good opportunity for us to, let's do this live rather than, right, the detailed outline, blah, blah, blah. Because this is why I think everybody is it, John. Could you imagine this? Tell me your name. Tammy. Tammy, how are you today?
I'm good. How are you?
It takes a while, right? It takes a while, but we're good. Oh, and by the way, are you not a good person, Dee?
Yes, I am.
She is a good person. See, that's the thing. That's why there's no judgment. There are habits that we have that are getting in the way of us being the best role model we can be, because chances are managers and leaders and bosses and assistant directors and administrators, nobody gives a flip about our titles except for angry residents, right? Or their family members, because they'll come in, won't they? Where's the director, right? And then a title is a big deal. But to team members, they're leaving directors, they're leaving administrators, they're leaving titles. They want human beings, right? But here's why I know that everybody is it, and it just happens to be John's turn right now. That's it. So Tammy, do you ever do any grocery shopping?
Sometimes.
Okay, sometimes. Where do you go? What store?
Giant.
Giant, all right? So could you imagine this? That Tammy got a call in the middle of the day. Okay, got a middle of the day. Hey, sugar booger, you at work? And Tammy says, I am, honey bear. And this is what I need you to do. Right after work, if you don't mind, we're running low on some stuff. Would you go to Giant and pick it up for me, please? And Tammy goes, anything for you, tiger. Right? Click, okay? So Tammy, after work, she goes directly to Giant. She still has the gear on. She still has the lanyard and the badge on. Tell me the name of your community.
Chapel Point.
Chapel Point. All right? So she's getting ready to buy her stuff. And how many of you, by show of hands, when you're in the supermarket, does anybody else look on the conveyor belt of the stuff in front of you or the stuff behind you? And then you look at that person and wonder, what kind of person buys all that kind of stuff? By show of hands. Put it up, leaders. Look around the room. Check it out. You got a room full of stuff lookers, right? So do they do this in Puerto Rico? Do you look at stuff in Puerto Rico? All right. So I'm looking at Tammy's stuff, right? Because I got a telephone call too, right? And I'm a Giant also. So I'm looking at Tammy's stuff, and she has the usual: eggs, bread, right? Toilet paper and ointment. So I'm looking at her stuff, and I don't know Tammy, but she has her Chapel Point badge on, right? And I say, you know what? Hey, I think I might know somebody that you work with. And all of a sudden, Tammy looks at me. Can't you see I'm shopping? What assumption am I going to make about everybody at Chapel Point? That they have attitudes, they have something with us. That's why, John, everybody is it. Everybody is it. Everybody is it. And it's not the most comfortable thing in the world, but you signed up for leadership. And to me, leadership is kind of uncomfortable. You get good at some things that don't bring a whole lot of comfort, and it's still uncomfortable. Because when you were hired, nobody told you that, I'll tell you what, are you going to be able to put your issues down so that the other people around you can feel inspired by just the way that you lead your life while you're here at work? Nobody asked you that question when you were hired. I don't care how new or how old you are. Nobody said, you know what, that department, you're the third one in 2 years. Are you prepared to be different? Because we need a different kind of leader here, somebody who inspires, and we don't need any other administrators or directors. We need a role model. Are you prepared to role model? Nobody asked you that question. And guess why now we have a workforce crisis? Because we are not accepting the responsibility of being role models and recognizing that everybody likes to feel valued and appreciated. And it's hard, though, because we're doing our jobs. We're keeping away lawsuits, and I get it because I work in it. And I'm in HR, so I hear all of the secrets. All of them. And everybody has issues, including the individuals that are trying to figure out all of the issues that we hear about. So I'll tell you what, John, once more, nobody can offend me without my permission. Or the other thing is, I'm the boss of me, whichever your choice is. Got it? Got it? Nobody can offend me without my permission, okay? So I'm going to start at 3, whichever one you want. I'm going to start at 3. When I get to 1, if it feels like conviction to you, we good? All right. Whenever you're ready, John, you go.
Okay, folks, let me tell you something. No one, and I mean no one, can make you be offended without your permission. Now, do you believe that or do you not? No one can make you feel offended without your permission. Or are you going to let them control you? Go ahead.
Wait, we only got 90 minutes, John. Now, what did you notice? What did you notice?
I was looking at them and they were looking at me, for one thing.
First of all, the first time he wasn't even looking at you. First time, and then there were 3 people that I think were kind of nice that were like, oh, well, he's out on an island. I want to support him. And then the second time, did you not get that sense that there was something more there? Because that felt like leadership. That felt like authenticity to me. And it just didn't feel like all directory and stuff and certified up and educated up and read all these books. Because nobody cares about how much you know. It's what we do with this that will keep people in our buildings. If this is going to have hard conversations, or the other thing is, Tammy, having that hard conversation with me and me being open to it with grace. I see at least between 10 or 15 other buildings outside of my own, like a year, and spend time at other buildings. And if nothing else today, to recognize that value and appreciation and institutionalizing, organizationalizing, weaponizing value and appreciation, training on value and appreciation, starting orientation with value and appreciation, holding everybody accountable, including the president and CEO, and the CFO, and the director of nursing, and the dining director. Value and appreciation. Watch what happens to your building. People are going to start to feel more engaged, and they're going to stay. And then we begin to lose less money. Nice is directly tied to the bottom line. All right? So, as you will recall, here at Camp Retention, we don't always do the most comfortable stuff, do we? So we have 3, 2, 1. Earth, and then wind. That's right. All right. Y'all ready? I'm sorry, I meant you all. You ready? All right, I know 20 of you are ready. You know how I know? 20 of you said, yeah. How many of you recognize that ready never looks like this, though? Because that's Monday, is it not? All right, I'm going to start at 3. When I get to 1, earth, wind. Do me a favor. Bring it like it was Friday. Imagine that your team members and the family members, imagine this is resident council. And there's a glass, a big piece of thick glass here, and they're looking in to see just how determined and how enthusiastic you are. Because as we go, they go. All right? 3, 2, 1. Very nice. What's next? Wind. Stay there. What's next? Fire. Fire. Tell me your name. Nicola, how are you today?
Wonderful. How are you?
Oh my gosh, if I was any better, Nicola, I'd be you. Fire looks like this. Fire! Good job. I'm looking for skepticism, just so you know. All right, it's on. 3, 2, 1, earth, wind, fire, and then the last one is water. All right? All right. Gwen, you ready? That's the right answer. 3, 2, 1. What's next? Earth. What's next? Wind. What's next? Fire. Keep it there. What do you think is last? Water. Water looks like this. You ready? Water. All right, now here's the test. Tell me your name, friend. Blue shirt. Ben? Ben, how are you today? Oh my gosh, I woke up this morning, I've been celebrating ever since. Ben, come forward. How many of you remember me saying, like, everybody here is it? And people say, oh, well, if I sit in the back, will that make me? Really? Tell me your name, black blazer. Becky, come forward. And let's see, I'm looking for anyone who averts their eyes right now. Right? Because aren't you it? Right, and then that's when everybody goes, huh? Because if you ask me Monday through Monday, right? Because we're 24/7. We operate like Vegas. How many, besides firefighters and police officers, what other organizations operate 24/7? That's part of this Nurses Eat Their Young because we're always going. The lights are always on. There is a stress that comes with having to keep this thing moving 24/7. And not one building, take that back. Very, very, very few buildings out of 17 years of travel have ever talked about nurses eat their young and what are we going to do about it. There's no training, there's no research, there's no, hey, at this level we need to do something about it, at this level we need to do something about it, at this level, and it just happens. And every time I say nurses eat their young, there's this, there's just a knowing little laughter. And nurses eat their young, if we totaled everybody's years of service in this room, nurses eat their young is older than whatever that number is. But when are we going to do something about it? Wellness is with team members too. We good? All right, so I need 2 more volunteers. Yep, yeah, might as well be you. Tell me your name. Serena, come forward. Tell me your name, floral pattern. Yes, Bernadette, I will accept your volunteerism. Come forward. All right, so let's see. Selena or Serena? Serena, come forward. I'll tell you what. You will captain this side. These are your people.
Hello.
All right? Tell me your name, ma'am. Ma'am.
Bernadette.
Bernadette, come forward. Oh, hey, Bernadette. Bernadette, come forward. I've seen you. I know you. All right. So, Bernadette, these are your people. Look at them. Love them.
All of them?
Yeah, all of them. All right. These are yourn. All right? These are yours. And Ben, let's see. You're going to lead this posse right here. Got it? All right. Here's leadership, right? So without looking at anything from, shucks, what is the name of that? How Full Is Your Bucket by Tom Rath and Clifton. I'm thinking about, there's just so much stuff that's out there and it all says the same thing. And we believe all of this stuff in the books, but it's not what we read, it's how we actionize it that will make the difference. And you can tell the culture of the building. And I'll walk into buildings as just a stranger because I don't know anybody usually when I go into the buildings, and I breathe the air and I walk and see how many good mornings do I get. I count the smiles in the buildings, Jim. I count the smiles. Because whatever I see, I'm thinking everybody else sees the same thing I do. But you know how we get used to what we get used to? And whatever our current culture is, it's just the way it is. If you ever say it's just the way it is, if you ever say, I hope it gets better, are you kidding me? As soon as we sit down, on your handout, this is what I want you to do. I want you to write down the word hope, put a circle around it, and then cross it out. Because we shouldn't have to hope for something more than we're going to work for it. How many of you have ever played a sport or have ever heard of sport? Could you imagine this? Coach, on the biggest game of the year. I hope you all play better than you have the rest. I hope their star player went down 2 weeks ago. Are you kidding me? And I understand the power of hope, the inspiration of hope, but in the meantime, people are leaving our buildings in droves. And I'm asking, well, what are you going to do about it? Oh, and by the way, you just can't do something about it, because those of you that have an opportunity to influence other leaders, I have to look at them and say, okay, what are you going to do about it? What retention goals do you have for this month? How many people are we going to keep this year? DON, right? And it can't sound as antagonistic as that, just an FYI. But we have to partner to say, okay, we're all working on this at every level. But if we don't all have goals, including the dietary aids, I mean, everybody, because this isn't just a director responsibility or accountability. Everybody is in this thing. Because how many of you have experienced this before, right? So new people will come into the organization, right, and we orient them, and we can't figure out why they're leaving so soon and what's going on. And so we orient them after a while, and then the old-timer, and old-timer is not age. It's just been there longer than the newer person, right? So all of a sudden, I come in ready, I'm armed, I'm ready. I'm ready to rock this thing because I know that this is going to be better than the last place I went, right? So I come in, and then all of a sudden, somebody looks at the enthusiastic one and go, you need to slow down, you'll see.
You need to decaffeinate.
And then guess what happens? And then we're surprised. I'll tell you what, I want you right now to think in your head, not on my watch, not on my watch. This is going to be the last day that somebody does not feel valued and appreciated with whatever level of influence I have. And then you make sure that everybody takes that same kind of oath. We have to start looking people eyeball to eyeball and say, hey, yesterday was yesterday. What are you going to do today? And it's okay. You have a partner in me. We're going to figure this thing out together. And when was the last time you or I had that conversation with somebody or somebody had that conversation with us? We're not losing any more people. Today is it. When did that happen at Executive Leadership Council? All these other things that I go to that you go. Hey gang, how are we going to be nicer to folks? Apparently we're not doing as well as we could be. I'm ready for some ideas. And don't wait for the ideas. You start asking people, what idea do you have? And it's hard, but what else is there? Because currently some buildings are experiencing 75% turnover over 1 year. And where are we going to get new people? But then we'll get mad at the ones that come in and look at their job history. Well, they've been to 3 other places. Are you kidding me? Of course they have. Because they're looking for dignity and value and appreciation. And they're not finding it in other places either. Let your place be the last place. How about that as a goal? All right, enough of that. It's time for All right. So, hey, gang, look at your people. Look at your people. All right? And this is what I need you to do. Make sure you get them all. It's a big swath. And I'll tell you what, actually, gang, everybody behind Serena belongs to Ken. Cool? All right. I'm going to start at 3. When I get to 1, you got to take your hands out of your pockets, right? And do me a favor. I'm going to start at 3. When I get to 1, my leaders, when I get to 1, you give your team the ready face. Now, I don't often do impressions. I'd like to do one for you today. I am Ken. I said, when I get to 1, you give your team members the ready face. Because could you imagine coming into the building and your leader, right, looks at you and goes, crap runs downhill. But then the team members will get in trouble because they're not inspired. Whew. That's hard. Because team members get written up more than conference goers. Welcome to the workplace crisis. But the opposite, the converse of that though is, do you know when you had that leader that turned you up, that said, I'm not going to let you do anything that I'm not prepared to do myself. And I'll tell you what, I'm coming in on the off shift and I'm going to knock this thing out. Yeah, I brought brownies. I got brownies too. No, I'm a horrible cook. I had somebody do it. But they're still for you, right? And you had a leader that said, you know what, I'm struggling with some things. I'm working on it and I need you to be involved with my development. Whenever you see me or hear me and sarcasm, that's not my intent. I need you to call me out on it. That kind of leader. That kind of leader that says, I don't get all the calls right, and I need your help because we can't see us, correct? That kind of leader. You turn up differently for that kind of leader. Do you not? which is why you can't have a quizzical face when it's ready time. All right, so I'm gonna start at 3. When I get to 1, you give your team members the ready face.
Are you guys ready? Yeah.
Oh my gosh! All right, 3, 2, 1. All right, now it's time for some 3, 2, 1, bring it. Yes. What's next? Good. Yes. Yes, Bernadette, good. What's next? Water. Very nice. Very nice. Good. So you're not done. Oh, apparently I was sent for you. But do you remember me not saying that you are it? I don't care who you are it. And my eyes go this way. And I chose Ken because he was, Ben, thank you, Ben. So I'm looking for 6s and I'm looking for 7s and I'm just trying to gauge like just enthusiasm at a conference, and all of a sudden we're no PowerPoint and no handout yet, but I'm asking you to do something different. I'm looking to see what it is my leaders are bringing. Because the thing about the handout is you have at least 30 things that I think are going to be useful on the handout. So that we're not going to cover all of the stuff on the handout, but when you get back, there's stuff on the handout. How cool is that? And if there's something that you're not clear about, call me. Call me. God bless you. That's a 10. Right? So there's stuff on the handout, but what are you going to do with the handout? What are you going to do with the information, right? So we have this stuff, and so value and appreciation, right? Okay, I need to value and appreciate my people, and then you go back to your community. All right, value and good morning.
Good morning.
How are you? We need to do stuff in real time. Because human beings respond to you in real time, do they not? And apparently the response that people are giving aging services right now is, oh no, I'm done. And it starts with our discomfort. And it has nothing to do with title, and it has nothing to do with years of service, and it has nothing to do with how much stuff we've read. It's doing something different so that we get different results. People are no longer hanging out waiting for these sweet aging services jobs because apparently they're not sweet. And at orientation, we don't talk enough about mission and what are you here for? And let me tell you what I know you're going to get as a result of the kind of service that you are bringing. And instead, it's policy after policy and HIPAA after HIPAA. And welcome to the organization. It's going to get worse from here. You'll figure out why you like it. If we're not more intentional, this is what's going to happen. It's like being asleep at the wheel, correct? We're going to crash. We good? All right, I'll tell you what. Let's give it up for our leaders, please. All right. While you're up, and this is the last thing I'm going to have you do while you're up, okay? While you're up, you're going to take a pledge, all right? Because here don't you touch anything. Go, no. You don't have to do a thing. All you need to do is listen to what I share with you and repeat it. But I'm going to share this aloud. I don't want you to you'll hear me, good to see you. I don't want you to look at me. I need you to look at your table mates or who's closest to you because you're going to determine if they're selling you a bunch of BS or not. Got it? So you'll hear me, but you don't need to see me. You're going to be eyeballing somebody else to see what it is that they're bringing. We good? And by the way, this is on your handout. So don't you look at the handout. So for all of you that like it, we good? It's here for you after, but it'll make sense. And I'm not going to trick you, I promise, all right? All right, so do me a favor. You look at a colleague or you look at 2 colleagues, all right? Bring the heat. Got it? Brian, there you go. All right? Listen carefully. Here's the beginning. And while you're at it, go ahead and put your left hand on your belly. Left hand on your belly. All right? All right, here it goes. I have come to the frightening conclusion. I am the decisive element in the workplace. My attitude creates the climate. It is my daily mood that makes the weather. Now hold on for a hot sec. Hold on. So you know how Pledge of Allegiance, right? Or sometimes like you go to a ball game and the Star Spangled Banner, or oh say can you see? There's some things that we've done over and over again that have kind of lost their fire because it's habitual, right? Makes sense, right? So coming in, right, to work. Hey, good morning, John. Good morning. How was your weekend?
Great, how was yours?
Right? So habitual, just habitual. With what you've read so far, I'm going to ask you to turn it up 2 notches, knowing that your partner or partners are looking at you for inspiration. Got it? So wherever you were delivering, just turn it up 2 notches. That's it. Cool? If you were at 5, that means turn it up to a 7. If you were at a 7, turn it up to a 9. If you were already at 9, woo! On fire! We good? We good. All right? But just turn it up, okay? And I'm looking for eye rolls. I'm just letting you know. Stop looking at that sheet of paper. I see you. I see you. All right, now look at your person. As a role model, I possess a tremendous power to make a colleague's life miserable or joyous. I can be a tool of torture or an instrument of inspiration. I can humiliate or humor, hurt or heal. In all situations, it is my response that decides whether a crisis will be escalated or de-escalated. And a colleague humanized or dehumanized. If I treat people as they are, I make them worse. If I treat people as they ought to be, I help them become what they are capable of becoming. Now go ahead and sit down with your partner. Don't say anything yet. Sit down with your partner. Between you and your partner, I want you to determine whose nose is the pointiest. Do we have an odd number? Tell me your name.
Jennifer.
Hey, Jennifer, would you hang out with her just because it'll be even? All right? Yep. All right, so let's see.
Don't look at your camera.
Would you be kind enough to hang out with my friend here? Sure. Just to even it out. All right, so between the two of you who, pointy nose, put your hand up. Pointy nose, put your hand up. We good? Now, listen carefully. John, you remember that part about nobody can offend you without your permission? So there was, I did this somewhere or another, and I said decide between pointy nose, who has a pointer nose. And my colleague got an opportunity to feel really, really offended by that. And I don't believe you're asking us to compare noses. What is that about? What's that about? And I'm not feeling real good about that at all. Now, if I'm clueless about something, John, you tell me that I'm clueless because I'm open to feedback. And I have a lot of room to grow. And I want to be good and useful for the people that I hang with, right? So she's, well, I just don't feel good about my nose, and on and on and on. And then I'm thinking, I wonder why that is. Why do you think that Why do you think that is? Why do you think she was struggling so much with that? So early in her life, she had a whole lot of crappy experience around her nose, which is all the more important reason to in service, nobody can offend you without your permission. Because everybody in here, leaders, we're bringing in all kinds of background information with who we hung out with and who we were supposed to hang out with. And as crazy as this country currently is, I don't care if you're red state or blue state. It has never been this loud. There are no conversations, they're just arguments. And it's coming into our building, by the way. And even if they're not politics talked about in our buildings, there's still contention around all kinds of things. I'm just glad I have a nose. And I could have said, whose thumb is more action-oriented? Who lives closest to the equator? When nobody can offend you without your permission, then there's less likely chance of you being burnt out. Because burnout is not just the energy that's expanded, it's the energy that we burn up here trying to wonder why it's like this and how come and all the... Are you kidding me? I want my leadership to be Teflon. Because when I'm at peace, we can have really good conversations and I can figure out like what's going on or what's the heart of the matter, rather than you will not talk to me this way and you see you're getting really excited, Tammy, and I don't understand and rah-da-da-da-da. And I find that in buildings across the country, there are very few people that are actually listened to. And even as I think about culture change, right? And we're bringing more people to the table that have never had an opportunity to make decisions before. And all of a sudden they're looking at established leadership teams, and sometimes we just cut each other off in sentences and stuff. And I find that team members who aren't used to the way that we lead and talk to each other are looking to say, I'm not saying anything around here. They keep quiet. Which even before culture change, we should have been growing our people anyway. And then I'm just an aide will be a thing of the past. But I tell them all the time, you're the most important thing that they when they wake up and when they go to bed, they don't believe it because they don't see it. And we have to actionize that. All right? Now, I will remind you again, there are lots and lots of stuff on that handout that I think are going to be useful to actionize it. We good? All right. So pointy nose, you will go first. I'm going to give you 30 seconds. You just put out that quote, all right? You mentioned that quote. I'm going to give you 30 seconds to share with Round Nose. What do you think that has to do with leadership, all right? And I'll tell you what, James, hang out with one of our colleagues over here just so it's a pair.
Well, she's over there.
Oh, we're good? Okay, fantastic. The quote that you just said. I've come to the frightening conclusion. I'm the decisive element in the workplace, all right? All right, pointy nose, you'll have 30 seconds. What does this have to do with leadership at all? Hey gang, first of all, this is not a conversation. Pointy nose is sharing for 30 seconds. Round nose is just sopping it up and listening. You got it? Now here's the other thing though too. If pointy nose stops before I say that's time, then round nose, you just get to stare at them until I say that's time. We good? So 30 seconds. Pointy nose, use your 30 seconds. Got it? The question is, the quote that you just mentioned, the quote that you just came out of your mouth, what do you think that has to do with leadership? All right? Your 30 seconds begins right now. Go! All right, friends. So round nose, pointy nose, you had your 30 seconds. Pointy nose, go ahead and give them a high five, please. Give your partner a high five. And let me tell you something about, so imagine this. What if there was High Five Friday? High Five Friday. New thing, free thing, free. So all of a sudden, email, hey gang, I don't know if you know this, 25th anniversary of the High Five. Don't end the day unless you get 25 in. Send. Free. Can I tell you how many emails that I can pull up that says, oh my gosh, High Five Friday is a hit? It's free. Do you know what we can do at Stand Up? We can do anything and everything at Stand Up. We can set the tone for the rest of the day, the week, instead of, so imagine that this is Stand Up. And I go to Stand Ups all over the country and Stand Up. Here it is, right? So, sister, please, all right? And you are Director of Buildings and Grounds, and I'm the Director of Nursing, and you are Residential Services, right? The ED, okay? And all of a sudden, here it is, just another Wednesday. Hey, gang, it's hump day, right? 2 more days. We don't have to be part of this, right? And then all of a sudden, Director of Buildings and Grounds says, well, you know, just a regular day, right? All the stuff I have going on, and the elevator's down, and right, we'll manage somehow, but regular day, right? DON, well, you know what? 3 admissions, but regular day, right? Regular day, regular day, nothing new. Regular day, regular day, regular day, nothing new. Now let's just think, I don't know how many days of the week that we actually are on property, or how many meetings we attend. Do you know how many touch points we could have to possibly inspire or give direction around making sure that everybody feels valued and appreciated? Stand Up is a wonderful opportunity to give assignments to people. And hey gang, this is what we're going to practice this week. You know those mission, vision, value things that we have, and all the things that people get evaluated on? What if this week we hung out with an aspect of teamwork, and we assigned each of the directors an assignment to handle this week that will help to build teamwork? But you know, well, 2nd floor flooded just yesterday, so you know we're going to be doing that all day. That's what I'm going to be doing. What are you going to be doing, huh? Putting out some more fires. It's just crisis all around. Oh my gosh.
I'm going to be giving
What?
back.
And it's just all day, every day, same crap, different day. Another day, another dollar. I'm hanging in, I'm hanging on, I'm hanging up. I am not proposing creating any new meetings. With the meetings that you currently have, though, be intentional about the feeling and not just the knowledge. We have a deficit of value and appreciation. Do our meetings reflect that, and what can we do differently about it? And that's how I know that no matter what your position is, or no matter what your circle of influence is, start influencing. I don't have to be the ED to change stuff in my organization. And I'm saying that to every one of you. We good? Thank you. All right, so that was pointy nose. Round nose, you were up. Round nose, 30 seconds. What does that quote have to do with leadership? Your time begins right now. Go. All right, round nose, this is what I want you to do. I want you to thank pointy nose and give them a fist bump explosion. Make sure you make the noise. Could you imagine if everybody here, recently I got an email, there was a board member that was sitting in one of the sessions. And we're talking about value and appreciation and all the rest of it, because I think that at my core, I told you, no matter what the topic is, it has to start with value and appreciation. So how many of you know lean processes? Do you know about lean? So even with lean is a way to do things efficiently that eliminates kind of organizational lag, all right? So that whatever the trouble spots are, we look at it kind of from a helicopter view and figure out where the obstacles are and then eliminate obstacles. But it's a thing, all right? It's a thing. Even with lean processes, you still have to have value and appreciation. So if I bring up an idea, oh dear Lord, how many of you have ever sat in the meeting? Tell me your name. Rhonda. Tell me your name. Brittany. All right, so we're at a meeting and we're trying to figure something out. Rhonda, this is what I want you to say. Wait a minute, I think I have a great idea, okay? All right, whenever you're ready.
Wait a minute, I think I have a great idea.
Will Rhonda ever bring up another idea? Nope. Value and appreciation. Do you know that engagement and disengagement happens like that? That's why I'm not going to give you a 3-month, 9-month, right, 12-month plan. I'm not going to give you that. I just want you to be right as soon as you go back to your community, recognizing that it's hard to break habits. I got that. But how many of you, by show of hands, recognize that there's at least one human being back in your building or department that hopes you get something out of this conference? Right? Because you value an honest friend, right? Because we got stuff with us, do we not? We got stuff with us. I don't care what the process is. It starts with value and appreciation. Done. Oh, and by the way, isn't our whole profession like predicated and built on value and appreciation? And the last people to get it are the team members, and sometimes you, depending on who is the leader and not the role model and coach. So I'm not sure if things are going to get better before they get worse. I just know that it's really tough right now. And the more our team members experience, when are you going to get more people? And they're going to keep experiencing that until we get right. They're going to leave too. And then what are we going to do? At Giant, let me tell you what's happening at Giant. Tammy, you know this. They have a robot that goes around and cleans. Have you seen this robot? It's kind of creepy. And the robot just goes around, and this is what I can imagine. So we have Teledoc. We know Teledoc. So someone going to write Teledoc. I can just imagine this in our communities. So you have a robot because everybody else is left. And we have the robot. Mrs. Johnson, you're looking well today. May I do your hair? Oof. That's why that part about personal accountability and not on my watch is critical. Not on my watch. Not on my watch. Because everybody in here has the ability to be powerful in your circle of influence. But we have to be brave enough to start moving and start having really good conversations. And it could be that. It doesn't have to be that. But it could be that. So what does this have to do with leadership? And everybody is it. Tell me what this has to do with leadership. Tell me your, yes. What's your name? Yes. Lisa, what does this have to do with leadership, the quote? To build them up. Got it. Lisa, you good catch? It's coming. You get a snack. Oh, so close. Lisa, do me a favor. Pick the next volunteer. And if they're not looking at you, that's the one we want. I didn't say throw anything at them. I said pick them. That marshmallow was for you. My gosh. Lisa, you hold on to that, dear. And I'll tell you what, Charles, it was in your vicinity, my friend. So what does that quote have to do with leadership, bud? Oh, no worries. I got plenty. Open your mouth, Charles. You didn't expect that from a conference session, did you?
All of this affects our culture, and we talk about patient-directed care.
Yes.
We need to talk about stakeholder-directed.
Stakeholder, yes, yep. Person-centered, person-centered, person-centered. There are more persons in our community.
And if we don't help our workers to feel whole, they're not going to be able to help our elders to feel whole.
Correct. Charles, do you have issues?
I do.
Good man. If you hesitated, I would have. Oh. Good man. Hey, Charles. All right, Charles, quickly, look over on this side. Frighten them on this side. Who's the next volunteer? Okay, well, Clyde it is. So, Clyde, what does the quote mean to you, friend? I know, you're like, yeah, I have marshmallows thrown at me all the time.
I think the quote means everything. It means everything that leadership starts with us, and we have the power, the influence, or the ability to make things better around us or not. It all starts with us in order to make a change.
Does that make sense to you? Yep. It says every book that's ever been written. See, that's the thing. I can't get away from this. It says every book and every study that has ever been written. oh man, it's conference goers that can influence everything and change everything around this retention piece. Everything. And everybody has an accountability no matter what level it is. But if we don't undertake it, it's not getting done. Who's over here? Oh, you know what? I'm picking. No, I'm coming to you next. It's this one who looked away. Tell us your name. Hey, Christy. Yeah, right? That's volleyball right there. She was a volleyball player. Woo! All right. Oh, and by the way, apparently that's the process. Apparently, Christy is a 3 Marshmallow team member. Right? So here's the thing. You know what I hear all the time? Oh my gosh, how many times do I need to tell you? How many times do I need to explain? How long have you been a nurse? Why did, huh? If no one can offend you without your permission and you're the boss of you, what if this is the process? Oh, and by the way, students do best when you have a great teacher anyway. So maybe it's not the student. It could be the leader. Oh, and by the way, leaders, if you're not aware of the different ways that our team members learn rather, so some people you got to tell them and they get it immediately. Some people you got to show them. Some people you got to coach them. But if you're unaware of the way that your team members learn, usually you teach the way that you learn, which may mean that they're not picking it up because that's the way that you learn. But then they'll get written up all across the country. Welcome to the workforce crisis. We keep banging our team members and then are surprised when no one wants to stay in a department. But we're all good people, though. We good? All right, so Christy, what does that have to do with leadership?
Leadership in the quote means showing up every day and being the quote, walking the quote, living the quote.
Showing up every day, living the quote, walking the quote, being the quote. That's why it's here. Some people have posted that in their area to remind them. And could you imagine if all of a sudden somebody comes into the office, right, and they're just looking at your pictures and stuff, because that's what people do. I do that. So you come in and they look at the quote and they read this and they go, wow, that's powerful. And then they do this. Isn't that feedback? That's feedback, isn't it? And then all of a sudden, if you say, yeah, I believe that, now get out of my office. All right. Yes, of course.
What is your recommendation for leaders who do give value and appreciation, but it's only to their favorites?
Oh. So here it is. Give value and appreciation to their favorites. Here's the easy question, and here's the easy answer and the hard answer. They're the same thing. Let's see. Let's do this in real time. What's your name? Nimian, stand up. Thank you. And let's say Nimian. Thank you. The question is, first of all, by show of hands, how many of you have favorites? And I'm only talking to the human beings in here. How many of you have favorites by show of hands? Now, those that have their hand up, look around the room for anybody who doesn't have their hand up and just smile at them. That's all you need to do, because we have favorites. Because we do. And favorites say stuff like, what else do you need? And I stayed extra, and I figured it out, and I think I have a solution. And oh my, and then we, and then often we burn them out. And then those that are not favorites get a chance to skate. And if I'm a hard worker, I'm looking at the skater and saying, why should I? Or the skater is saying, I'm not doing, are you kidding me? But then nothing is said, so it's the same, and then both of them leave, or the hard-working one leaves, and then we have the skaters, and we need to figure them out. But then they'll get written up because we didn't inspire. All right. So favorites. It sounds like a hard conversation is necessary. Hey, supervisor, are you open to some feedback?
Yes.
Yes is the only answer anyway. Ask me if I'm open to feedback.
Are you open to feedback?
Yeah.
What do you mean?
Was I open to feedback? No. Do you see what I'm saying about engagement and disengagement happens in a second? Which is why, to me, leadership is super hard, because if I can't manage this, I can't manage anything else. If I manage this poorly, what do you think I'm doing to the human beings around me? We good? So the answer is yes. And then, Nimian, I want you to write down all of the stuff that you have noticed before you have this meeting with your supervisor. And this is what I've noticed. Absolutely.
I would put some positive things in them also. Because if you're coming at them with only negative things, they're not going to respond very well.
Does that make sense to you? And there's the value and appreciation. Thank you. Yep. I shortcutted it. Sorry. The hardest part is going to be having that conversation.
Yes.
You right?
Yes.
This is what I'd like you to do lastly. Nimian, thank you. Lastly, what I'm going to ask you to do is on your handout, write the name of an individual who you know you need to have a hard conversation with. Write their name down. And if it's Ben, write a different name if you're at that table. We good? Oh, got you. You will get a handout. I'll make sure you get a handout. But think about the individual. Today is Tuesday, Terrific Tuesday. I want you to, by Friday, schedule the conversation. I didn't say have the conversation. I said schedule the conversation, because you know when you at least move it forward a little bit, something has to happen. But at least schedule the conversation. We good? Nimian, are you going to schedule the conversation? And yes, thank you, our friend. Absolutely, it has to have. Let me tell you what I appreciate. Do me a favor. Don't make the crap sandwich, though. Hey, great things. You suck, but you're okay. You're like one of the okay ones, because crap sandwiches never work. We good? We good? Other questions? Last questions before we roll. I'm listening.
My problem is I'm in the middle. I'm a recreational therapist.
Yes.
I'm a boss, and then I look over the CNA for activities.
Yes.
So when the CNAs don't bring the residents to activities,
Yes.
of course, I get a little angry, and I'm like, okay,
Would you like me to pass that for you? You so rock.
it comes from the top because I'm getting that. So I'm trying to find a way of how to change the way I speak to them so that they help me more, but then it's from the top, it's like I get the crap too. So it's
Yep. Tell us your name. Allie, recreation director? What's recreational therapist, and she needs to recruit and enroll the aides in activities. Lastly, do this. Hold out a hand. Doesn't matter which one. Doesn't matter which one. I'm going to say something or do something. You tell me if it feels like this to you or if it feels like that to you. We good? This or this? Okay? I don't tell you enough how much I appreciate you. Does it feel like that to you, or does it feel like this to you? So this, okay? How many times do we have to go through this until you get it? Feel like that to you or this to you? Okay? Hold it in the air. Show everybody, whatever you think, you think. Right? So regardless, Clyde, whatever it is, right? I'm good. I just want you to notice. All right? Hold out a hand. You're not appreciated enough around here, and I'm going to make that different. It starts with me. Does it feel like that to you or this to you? Okay? Do me a favor. Look around the room. Okay? Hand open. What if I did this? Hold it up in the air. So guess what? I will never do that, right? So regardless of what's happening in front of me, that ain't happening. And Allie, I understood, I heard that I get angry at that, and I get it, and it makes sense to me, and I'm a human, and I get angry at stuff too. I know for a fact that I have worked on keeping, what? We're going to figure this thing out. Oh my gosh.
I've tried that too. And then the CNAs are like, ugh, I don't get that. They sometimes when I do good things for them and make them feel appreciated, and I throw a big party for them, and CNA week a couple weeks ago, and I did a whole party for them. They felt that for me. me.
Thank
but
you.
They said, why is it coming from you and not them?
Would you schedule a conversation with them? And Christy is a 3 Marshmallow team member. I don't know how long it's going to take. I just know that I am not going to give up. Because that's the kind of team member you have. I don't know what my limit is yet. I don't know what it is yet. But I'm going to keep pushing. Right? Because we love the residents, do we not? We love the residents. We love the residents. I'm not going to quit. And I'll encourage you not to, too. It may take more marshmallows. The other thing is, stop giving parking spaces, stop giving free turkeys, stop giving all of this stuff, because human beings do not operate on stuff. When you get to mission and purpose and feel good and why we're doing this and the role that they play, that's how esteem is built. It's not the stuff, just an FYI. And by the way, if we do Employee of the Quarter, I don't know how big your organization is, but are we going to get to everybody before they die? And sometimes the same type of people get it anyway. And that sends a message. Employee of the Quarter does not work, and you have not read anything that says that it does. If 95% of leadership values and appreciates their team, you will never have to give another free thing out again. Oh, and they'll recommend to their cousins and neighbors to come to your community. We good? Let's keep the conversation going. If there's something that was not clear, do me a favor. Call me or email me. I'm a member of the community. The other thing is, I'd be foolish not to mention that I think I've been pretty good over the last, decade or so at helping organizations keep their people. And at all levels. It's not just a leadership conversation, but it's also a team member conversation. And I can guarantee you that folks leave sessions like, oh my gosh, I know what I need to do now. All mission and purposey, is that a word? Today. Yeah, purposeful, I don't like that. All purposey and stuff. All right? Give me a call. Thank you so much for your time. I hope this was nothing like you expected.